Any place is fine. I like the Deep Forest of Elrit visually, myself. Okay, so, we're gonna do the review. I don't think it'll be too long, because, you know, when a game is really this good, you just end up gushing over it a lot. Yeah, I love this game. Now, I originally played the first game, the PlayStation 2 version, close to when it first came out. And what really drew me to the first game was the beautiful graphics, and because I'm a big sucker for gorgeous 2D games with hand-drawn graphics and stuff. And to this day, you know, the PlayStation 2 version is still one of the best-looking 2D games on the PlayStation 2. But the PlayStation 2 version was horribly flawed. The combat was clunky, there was way too much grinding, and it made the game so boring and tedious, and it was way too long. So, because of that, I didn't like it, and I wanted to like it so badly because it was so gorgeous. Yeah, the critics were, I mean, they liked it, but, like, for me, like, and the slowdown was awful. The slowdown was the worst thing ever. The Spider Queen was terrible. She would lag up the game tremendously. I heard the European version, I think, kind of fixed some of the slowdown issues, but I don't know. I never played that version. So when this game was first announced, I actually wasn't interested in it because I was so jaded by the first version that I just wasn't. I didn't want to go through it again because I knew it would still be a long game, and I wasn't really convinced that the improvements that they made to it would be good enough to warrant playing through the whole game all over again. But eventually I decided to get it, and I am so glad I did. Because this game is so good. Like, it is like almost a completely different game. The improvements they made to it are unbelievable. They did away with the, like, in the original version, attacking constantly would use up your PAL meter, like Tolrath told us. And if you used up the entire PAL meter, you would become dizzy, and that made it unnecessarily frustrating. Whereas in this version, they changed it so that you can attack all you want, and the PAL meter is now only tied to certain skills here. And that's the biggest difference. That's one of the biggest differences. Is that they added this amazing skill tree, which was not in the original version. There were a couple of skills in the original version, but they were small and minor and didn't really, you know, it wasn't really robust. But in this is like amazing. Like, this adds a layer of depth to the game that you can't get in the original version, and it makes it so much more satisfying. The other thing that they improved dramatically is the cooking system. The cooking in the original version was so bad because you could only cook in Puka Village, whereas in this version you have the traveling cook. And the problem with the Puka Village is that any ingredients that you needed, when you would discover what ingredients you needed for a recipe, and then you had to leave Puka Village and then go to the battle stages, sitting through all those load screens. And I'm pretty sure the load times in the original were pretty bad. And it just made things take so long. And inventory management was abominable in the original. In this one, it's all cleaned up. It's all categorized into different categories. You have all your materials here, you have your magic potions here, your food here, and they all stack too. They didn't stack in the original version. You had to do inventory management yourself. You had your bags, and you could expand them, but they wouldn't stack. And all the organization you had to do yourself, which is the most awful thing ever for them to do. I don't even know why the hell they thought that would be a good idea. Alchemy has been improved so much in this. Now it has an intuitive system where it actually shows you exactly what you're going to transform your shit into. You know, and you can form your spells right away from the beginning without actually needing the recipe. The recipe just kind of helps you out. But all the spells are available to you right from the beginning, and that makes things so much better. You don't have to wait until the end in order to make, you know, cool spells. And just the combat is so good in this game. That's really the selling point of this game, is just how fun the combat is. Just hacking and slashing stuff, you know, it's... All the moves are so fluid, and you can experiment with different builds and different spells and different abilities to, you know, pretty much suit your style and how you want to play the game. Originally, my idea for fixing the original game was just to cut out like 3 characters, because I thought there were too many. But they figured out a much better way of streamlining the game in the remake. They kept all the characters, which was a good idea, but they reduced the amount of grinding that was required, which is such a good idea, you know. And also, what helped out with the grinding was the fact that you have the traveling cook, so you can level up a lot easier. And each individual character has its own skill tree. Like, you have this robust skill tree for each character, and they all have their own unique skills. In the original game, my favorite character was the Shadow Knight, only because he had the most interesting skills. But in this game, like, each character has such cool and interesting skills, and I can definitely see myself playing this game again, and then finding new characters that I actually like more than I did before. Right now, I would say my favorite character in the remake's the Puka Prince, who used to actually be my least favorite character in the original version, just because I didn't think he was developed that well. He didn't seem to be all that interesting or unique. Really, the most unique character in the original version was the Shadow Knight, and also the fairy, Mercedes. But in this game, all the characters are unique and fun to play as. Graphically, it's still gorgeous. Like, I mean, it's mind-blowing how good this game looks. Occasionally, you'll see like some kind of some low-quality artwork that kind of looks a little blurry. I think that's pretty much only the sewers kind of looks a little tacky. When it zooms in a little bit, you know, the resolution of the artwork kind of goes down. But I mean, that's how it is for all games. But generally speaking, the game just looks phenomenal. It is so beautiful. Might even be more beautiful than their previous games, like Dragon's Crown. I would have to compare them side by side to know for sure, though. Yeah, so really my only complaint about the game is I don't like... there's parts in the game where you have to transform into like a small version of yourself, and there's parts where you have to wear these heavy boots in order to get through like some sandstorms. I didn't really think that adds anything to the game. It's not really... I don't know exactly why they wanted to do that. I think maybe they were trying to make it a little bit more Metroidvania-ish by like having, you know, new abilities so that you can access new areas, but it just doesn't really work. They did add some more platforming areas to the game, which is pretty cool. You know, it's still not a platforming game, but, you know, they add some more platforming elements to it, which is a welcome addition. Yeah, Jertka asked me if this is a Metroidvania game. It's not. It is missing one of the key components of a Metroidvania game, and that's you know, platforming. But I do like how they added some more into it. Yeah, the tactical dodge rolls are pretty cool. Yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to mention. Like, blocking in the original game. You could block in the original game, but it was totally useless. But in this game, blocking, they incentivize it by making it better. And also, in the skills, for some characters, you can have like counterattacks, or it'll improve the amount of PP you get. You know, stuff like that. So that really helps out a lot. And makes it, it kind of incentivizes using the blocking ability. Now, in all fairness, I still don't use blocking that much, but I do use it more for some of the other characters, where it helps out a bit more. Oh, really? The stone boots thing was a nod to Ocarina of Time's water temple puzzle? Yeah. I appreciate the homage, but yeah, it doesn't really add anything to the game. One thing that does add to the game, though, is they added a whole bunch of new mini-bosses, which look gorgeous, and they're very challenging. And so that's a really welcome addition. One of the things that some people, I can imagine some people might complain about, is that the game is easier. I think I had a pretty decent time with it, only because I actually know how to play this game. So, yeah, like, fans of the original might find this game a little bit too easy, but there is a hard mode, so it's not really that big of a deal. And if you're a real sadist, this game has an option to play the original version anyway. So if you want all those clunky mechanics, they still exist. I don't know why you would ever want them, though, but, well, yeah, there you go, they're there. Yeah, the airship kind of was a little frustrating, but it's not a big deal. And really, you know, that's all I gotta say. Like, it's such a good game. I definitely can see myself playing this game again. Because there's so much more to actually see, you know, like, there's so many more skills that you can max out and experiment with. And try different builds. You know, if I ever played this game again, I would want to try out different builds and see how they would work. Because there's so many different skills that you can't possibly get them all on a single playthrough. So it encourages replayability. And the game is really long, but unlike the original, it doesn't feel like it's dragging. Like, you want more. You don't mind, you know, constantly fighting and killing enemies and leveling up your abilities. It's all so satisfying, you know, like, that idea of doing work and then you're rewarded for it is very much part of this game. And that's what helps keep it interesting and tons of fun. Yeah, I think this game is fantastic. It may very well be the best remake of any game that I've ever played. You know, number 2 might be the Resident Evil remake. You know, either one of those, they're both fantastic. But yeah, I'm so glad I got this game, because it's phenomenal. And maybe one day I might go back and platinum it, because it's really that good. I love it that much. Once you beat the full game, you can unlock heroic difficulty mode, where any hit kills you. Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you're completely sadistic, and I'm sure if you are going for platinum, you would have to beat the game on that mode, which actually that might be a reason why I will never platinum this game, because that sounds way too hard. So that's all I have to say. Tolrath, what do you have to say about the game? Anything else to add?